Hello, I'm Jenny Fern and welcome to my library. I'm a chaotic neutral mechanical engineer who's really into permaculture and wants to talk about books. So let's talk about books. I'm continuing on with my 500 subscriber celebration with 5 books that I'm unhauling from the books that I've read. I picked these out a couple days ago. I'm gonna donate them to my little free library that I have in front of my house. This was hard, but some of them were not hard. So I think I'm gonna start with what was the least hard. I hate this book and I hate looking at it. This is a good example of why I absolutely despise this book. This book is Squirrel Seeks Chipmunk by David Sedaris. And it is a series of stories about little woodland creatures, and they're supposed to be like kind of irreverent and fun and super violent and gross. I had absolutely no fun with this book, and I'll just give you an example of how absolutely disgusting. Who the fuck wants this? Hopefully somebody in my neighborhood, because I'm giving it away. This book is actually probably one of the reasons why I have no interest in reading any of the other David Sedaris books that I haven't read yet. I hated this. It made me sad, it made me angry, it made me upset. I'm not one for this type of content. There are some aspects that to me are a little similar to Beautiful Darkness. If you don't know, Beautiful Darkness is a graphic novel that has these really cartoony characters. They come out of a dead human girl, and she's like dead in the woods, and there's all these like little weird cartoon characters that come out of her, and they are very brutal. They have no human morals, and they're in like this very natural world, and it can be very disgusting and brutal. But I feel like it's done in such an artful way because it's a really interesting reflection on the contrast of like morality on nature and natural systems. At least that's how I kind of thought about it. Squirrel Seeks Chipmunk could kind of have that. This just seemed brutal and disgusting for the sake of being brutal and disgusting. I don't think it had any redeeming qualities. So anyway, I hated this book. I'm getting rid of it, and I'm thrilled to be rid of this book. After that, there's none of these that I actively hate. And I couldn't find anything on my shelves that I hated like that, where it's not like kind of fun, because I do have some science fiction, like older sci-fi that I would like hated, but in such a fun way where it's like this writer was sexist, or this is like really poor writing, but it was still a fun time, you know? On that front, I'm probably the most on the fence about getting rid of this book, but I just don't think I need this book. Like, I don't think there's any reason why I would ever read this again, and that's Second Stage Lensman by E. Doc Smith. I did have a fun time when I read this year, but oh, you know what? I might want to hold on to this until the end of the year just to have it in my stack of books, but regardless, I will get rid of it. It started really, I was not engaged at all. It got fun, and then the fun element kind of left. Ultimately, I'm never gonna read this again, and there's no reason to keep it, so I might as well give it to somebody else who might enjoy it. The next book I reread last year. I realized I did not enjoy this book. I will not reread it again. It was not a book for me, and that is Bless Me Ultima by Rudolfo Anaya. I read this in 2008. So it's been a while. I've had this book that entire time. I do feel conflicted getting rid of classics or books that are kind of in a set place in the world. Like, this is a hallmark of Chicano literature and also magical realism. It's not for me. Somebody else would enjoy having this on their shelf more than I would. I just recently talked about this book in a video. I considered getting rid of this before and I decided to keep it. I think the time has come. There isn't really a reason for me to hold on to this book, and that's Wicked by Gregory Maguire. When I went through these shelves of books I haven't read, I got rid of all of my Gregory Maguire books that I'd been hoarding since I was, like in high school or whatever, because I just wasn't interested in reading that anymore. I also got rid of Lost, which was a book from Gregory Maguire, which I'd already read. And this isn't any indicator of Gregory Maguire as an author. I don't really know very much about him at all, and I have enjoyed his work, including Wicked, but this doesn't mean anything to me. I don't want to reread it. I don't want to continue with the series. And I think I just don't need to hold on to this anymore. So I'm going to donate it. Now, the last book that I'm unhauling in today's video, did I read this year or last year? I read The Last Lecture. Yes, for sure this was this year, by Randy Pausch. This is just not a useful book for me. I didn't particularly enjoy it, and I do think there are other people out in the world who would get so much more out of it than I did. So I will put this back out into the world. This has a lot of life messages. It's much better, in my opinion, for somebody who's young, who is just going into college or maybe is in high school. The lessons in here I think would be useful to those people. This is not the type of messaging that I need in my life, and that's why I'm gonna give it to somebody else. I didn't realize that I was gonna have so little to say. These three, to me, I'm never gonna read them again. They're just kind of meh. I didn't hate them. I'm just not gonna revisit this world, so that's where I am. That's how it's going. Let me know if you would have kept any of these, if any of these are your favorites, if you also wouldn't keep them. Thank you again for 500 subscribers. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did enjoy this, consider sharing it with a friend who you think would also enjoy it. Consider liking and subscribing. And I will be back again tomorrow with unhauling books from these shelves, which are the books that I have not read yet, and I'm gonna try my darndest to pick out 5 books that I want to unhaul.